There comes a time in every Twitter user's life when they go completely insane and deranged. The amount of time it can take for that to happen can vary. It's like a ghoul from Fallout, where eventually you have to go feral. It can take a long time, or not very long at all. It'll happen to me eventually, and it'll happen to you as well. Today happened to an individual called Wyatt, where they made the most insane and deranged Twitter thread that I've ever seen in my life. This starts off as an average Twitter thread, pretty degenerate, but then it just keeps going and keeps going. And the reason why we need to talk about this isn't because one guy is a weirdo, it's because this tweet thread had thousands of likes, which means that a lot of someone's out there thought this was, yes, I agree with this. Nice, he's got some good points, actually. Let's hear him out there, boys and girls and NBs. So the tweet thread begins as any standard red pill one does. Little bit of light racism, lightly coated, saying, hey guys, anyone want to take a guess at why Atomic Heart is such a breath of fresh air and the absolute pile of diarrhea that is modern AAA single-player games? Any guesses? Nobody wants to guess? And then shows the Atomic Heart development team as, well, I mean, you can kind of guess what he's getting at there. Now, to be clear, I've played Atomic Heart. I'm actually playing it right now, and it's a good game. It's not the greatest in the world. There's some reasons that maybe you wouldn't want to buy it, and then there's some reasons that, it looks pretty. There's some cool concepts there. It's a cool world. But then the main character is some kind of action hero weirdo that spouts one-liners and talks about how cool the Soviet Union is. A lot. Like, so much, which, I mean, to be fair, there's a lot of American shooter games that talk about how cool and free America is all the time, so it's basically the same thing, but it's a lot. It's kind of weird. Almost immediately, the main character of Twitter today jumps into how much they are horny for a sex robot in the game. This cupboard here that you're looking at has a female voice and talks about how much she wants to copulate with you and is very, very horny all the time. And why it's mad that there's not more horny sex robots in other games, except it's just a cupboard. The cupboard has like machine tentacles, but that's it. It's not like the cupboard opens and there's like a sexy lady inside. It's just tentacles. Which just, I don't know why he's so horny for a cupboard. But then it continues, and it'll continue for a while, because for some reason, he just goes off on a weird rant and tirade about hair dye, and then starts to sprinkle in some sexism here by saying that Kerbal Space Program 2 came out to mixed reviews, and that is not a very good game because there are some women that worked on the game, and that's why, because women worked on the game. And then goes off on a little bit of a tirade about how the game industry nowadays is bad, AAA games are bad, and that Ubisoft games will never be good, which, to be fair, Ubisoft games are very boring now. They are all cookie cutter, run-of-the-mill, open world, go and access the waypoints kind of deal, so even a broken clock is right one time, but this clock is very broken. This clock has been destroyed and stamped on and pissed on. He then proceeds to have an absolutely insane take that if a woman takes her hair length above her ear line or shaves any part of her skin, it's a business liability. Which this has 800 Who is agreeing with this? What kind of deranged basement dwellers looking at like this, like, hey, he's got some good points actually, yes. If women shave their hair, that's bad for business. And then dives back into their grand crusade against hair dye because they really hate hair dye for some reason, saying that if you change your hair appearance, you have like some kind of mental illness. 461 likes. Like, what? I don't. And then compares it to aposematism, which I don't know if that's how you pronounce that, which is basically frogs turning red so that predators won't eat them because they're dangerous. Which, of course, as we all know, if you dye your head red, then that makes you dangerous. I'm naturally red. I didn't dye it, but maybe I have the same thing. Better watch out, boys and girls and MBs. I'm dangerous. Don't I seem dangerous? Hold on, I'm beginning to think that maybe there's not a lot of credence to this theory here. He then starts to sprinkle in some homophobia, some transphobia, really just hitting all of the greatest hits. It's like he made a list of things that you can do to be a massive arsehole and thought, you know what, I'm gonna check off all of these. Now, I know what you might be thinking, this is clearly just a Twitter troll, which I thought as well for a while, but the tweet thread just keeps going, and it seems just way too serious, because they have a an account on another website that's kind of like Twitter, but kind of not. I think it's called Post or something. Clicked on that, and there's some pretty suspicious stuff on there as well. So I don't think this is a joke. I think this person genuinely holds these beliefs, which is why it makes it so insane that there are so many people liking these tweets. Obviously, there's a lot of backlash as well. There's a lot of sane people saying, actually, no, you're just an asshole. But we haven't arrived at the craziest take that he made yet, which is that Conker's Bad Fur Day is the greatest all time, or is perfect in terms of story, music, comedy, and eclipses GoldenEye in depth of gameplay variety and fun, which Conker's Bad Fur Day might have been a good game, but I'm pretty sure he's just saying that because it had a lot of edgy jokes like shitting on people, which is awesome. Now, I do think there is an argument to be had that AAA gaming nowadays is a little bit boring, a little bit lackluster, because there's so many games that are pushing live services, microtransactions, wanting you to play the same game all of the time, rather than just sitting down and trying to make a good experience that maybe only lasts like 8 hours, 20 hours. And Atomic Heart being one of those games that is just a single player experience that lasts a certain amount of time that you are then done with it's a little bit of a breath of fresh air, but it does have its issues. The problem is that chuds like this are watering down actual discussion around why games are bad by going completely racist, sexist, transphobic, homophobic, off the deep end, and then people will turn around and say, well, the only people that are really criticizing these games are the people that are these types of people making Twitter threads and spending upwards of 5 to 10 hours typing out tweets about how they don't like women with pink hair. Our games must be fine. They make enough money as it is. Let's keep on churning out the same type of game over and over again. Which is a shame, because I'm personally not a person that enjoys a live service type of game, and I wish they would do some more single-player experiences. I'm really excited for Starfield because I don't think it's going to be like that. Bethesda seems to have a decent head on their shoulders, even if they lie a lot and release games that have so many bugs that you could call it a swarm instead of a video game. But if nothing else, this should remind us to stick to the golden rule. There is one rule on Twitter that you have to follow in order to have not a good experience because it's Twitter, but a moderately okay experience. And that is, if they have an anime profile picture, their opinion doesn't count. Sorry that you had to be subjected to the takes of a madman. If I had to see it, then you have to see it as well. But there is a discussion to be had about games and where we're going with games, because I don't want every single game to turn into a mobile game that you download for free and then you have to pay to play every 20 minutes. Otherwise, the game will shut down and lock down your account and also punch you in the face. That doesn't seem very fun to me. And maybe my perspective is skewed because I'm more of a single player video gamer, not really a multiplayer person because I can't aim to save my life. If I was put in a situation where I had to get 3 headshots in a row on a ranked game of Valorant, otherwise my family would die, I'd probably be better off no-scoping than actually trying to aim. I'd have more of a chance of actually landing some hits that way. I just don't want to see single-player games go the way of the dinosaur because that's how I grew up enjoying video games, and that's how I hope I continue it. Anyway, when's Starfield coming out? That's soon, right?